Hey y'all, this is Panda. Sorry for the start there. I was trying to see if it was recording. Um, how are y'all doing? This is a take two because I rambled way too long on the first one, and I'm trying to cut down on that because I'm not good at it. I have so much to talk about though, but first I just want to say, um, I need your guys' help. Um, my my dad and my grandparents that were helping me with my power bill just decided to drop it on me. Um, I haven't been begging for the last couple months because they were helping me out with that as long as I could pay some on it, which I was. And I only had about $50 saved up for it after I got all my groceries and medicine and paid my bills and everything. So right now I am desperately trying to fundraise as much as I can for my power bill, and it was due like 10 days ago. I haven't gotten a shut off notice yet. If I do, I have to take it to the DHS, and they only help once a year, so I'm not sure if it's been a year yet since they helped, and if it has, I'm basically screwed. If I can't get my power bill paid, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep doing videos. I've been spending a couple hours a day trying to list stuff on eBay and haven't gotten anything sold yet. And I'm trying to sell stuff on my Twitter, like my TYT shirts, and I'm probably going to end up selling all of my cannabis magazines because I have a crap ton of those fancy, like $12 to $15 magazines that I've collected over the years. And I didn't know that this was going to happen, so I did actually spend a little bit of money this month because I had to get like a calendar. And there was a couple magazines I wanted, and there was a Bernie T-shirt that I've been wanting for a while. And because I had misplaced my the hoodie I was working on that had Bernie, I was going to sew Bernie on the back of it and wear that around for promoting him. And so I had misplaced that, so I was really depressed about that, and I ordered a $15 t-shirt on eBay that's really nice, and I'm going to show you guys that pretty soon. But so I basically spent like 30, $40 total on stuff that I didn't absolutely need for the month, which might not seem like a lot for some people, but I'm not allowed to spend anything because if I do, I get chewed out like to no end for it. My grandma and my dad, who are the ones that I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised they paid for as long as they did because they're the ones that expect me to just stop taking my medicine that costs so much every month because they seem to think I can live without it, even though I went over this in the last video. So I'm going to try and be quick, or in the first take, I should say. I'm going to try and be quick. So, for those of you who don't know, for 22 plus years, I have been on every painkiller under the sun multiple times. I started out with a really, really, really high tolerance, so I was put on like morphine when I was 12, and that jacked up my tolerance even more. And so I've been on everything, and lately, for quite a while, I have only been on hydrocodone. Uh, and that seems to be what works the best as far as I can tell when it works. I can tell when it kicks in. I can tell if it's not working, and it doesn't seem to give me the really hard crash when it wears off like morphine and stuff does. But they saw me go through 20 some years of being prescribed too little, having to take too much because I couldn't function on the doses I was given, which was they only the most I ever got was like a medium dose, so they always had me on like a low dose. Like they were never, most of my doctors were never happy with doing a long acting and a short acting, which is what I've heard most people who have multiple severe chronic pain illnesses usually get. I've usually only been given one or the other, And if I was given a long acting, I usually would have to cut them in half so I could take one in the morning and one at night, and it would work a little faster because otherwise I couldn't tell if it was even working. So I've been through a lot where I've had withdrawals countless times, and I really don't want to go through that anymore. But my family has seen me go through that. They assumed I was just an addict, basically, even though I never once did anything illegal, never once bought street drugs, never once tried to find street drugs or anything. Like, I only took what I was given, and if I ran out, I suffered, basically. So after seeing me go through all that, and after seeing my kidneys fail, and my doctors said, like, I can't be on super heavy ones long term. I should be, I had to get off of a few different medicines after my kidneys failed, so it wasn't just that, but the only reason I could get off of all those medicines is because of the medical cannabis I'm on. The medical cannabis controls so many of my symptoms that if I could not be on it at all, I would be in the hospital. That is no question about that. Like, I can't eat or take oral medicine or anything like that until I smoke after, I get up, or every 3 or 4 hours. Because if I don't, I will start dry heaving or vomiting. I will start having severe sweating, body temperature problems, skin burning, seizures, not severe weakness, like agonizing pain, just, muscle twitches, all kinds of, dozens of symptoms. And they know this. They know what I've been through. They know what it does to help me function. They know I wouldn't be able. My grandma, who is the most religious person in the family, she's there. I mean, apparently my dad's whole side of the family is like a Bible literalist, Republican to the death, conservative, diehard, gun-toting family, and it's infuriating. They don't believe in climate change. They support Trump probably to this day, but they don't want to talk about it because he's embarrassing. and so my grandma has basically told me to my face, like, well, if you would end up in the hospital without your medicine, then I guess you'll end up in the hospital. And if that's where you need to be, so to have someone take care of you, then I guess that's where you'll be. They know that if I end up in the hospital, it's going to be because I'm dying. I'm going to die. Like, I know it sounds dramatic, but they would be putting me on an IV and pumping me full of the same drugs I went off of for a reason, because I'm not allowed to use my medical cannabis in the hospital. Like, that's the way it is. I've discussed it with my doctors. I've been through researching it. I've been through having to go into the hospital when I had my second heart failure and stuff, and wasn't allowed to use it then. And they had pumped me full of so many drugs that I was half dead for like 3 months afterwards. Like, I couldn't do that again. My body can't do that again. Like, my organs are already failing. My heart's already failed twice. And they had to hook up a machine to it to keep it going, because otherwise it would not be going right now. But the sheer amount of stress that I've been under, because my heart doctor told my mom, my dad, my sister, my grandparents, one of my uncles, I think, but they were all standing there when my heart doctor said to everybody that my heart is failing from severe stress. Like, it is enlarged, it is scarred. He said it was most likely due to, from the time I was a kid, I have had such severe anxiety that I remember being in first grade and having ulcers in my stomach, and also having insomnia so bad that I remember clearly, like this day, when I was in first grade and we were sitting around in a circle doing, like, telling about our weekend or something like that. I don't know, but I remember bragging about staying up all night and only sleeping for like an hour all night. And then right after I told my story, I just suddenly puked all over the place. And I'm pretty sure it was because I was so stressed and anxious and sleep deprived. Because that I didn't realize until the last couple years that was from, like, I had such bad anxiety from the time, as long as I can remember, from the time I was a toddler, that I've now realized that a lot of the symptoms I exhibited, a lot of the signs I exhibited as a toddler were stress responses, because I've come to realize what stress responses are versus, like, medical symptoms. And I have a lot of fucking stress responses right now that I exhibit all the time. And I have had since I was a kid. That's why my teeth that I was grinding together from the time they grew in have caused such bad jaw damage, and my teeth were pretty much all of them were cracked by the time they were being pulled. And they said it was because of the constant grinding and clenching, and also contributed is the morphine that I was on for so long, which gave me severe dry mouth and basically sucked the calcium and out of my teeth and made them like rotten from the inside, because a lot of the teeth they pulled didn't look that bad on the outside, but once you got to the inside of it, it was just completely corroded, which is weird because usually when you get a cavity of some kind, it starts somewhere on the outside or maybe in between them. But it was just from the root outwards is how it worked. It was really weird. They were kind of puzzled by it when they saw my teeth, but like, it's just I've had so many stress responses since I was little that I can't figure out why my family has just decided, like, I know most of them, even my mom, who's, not on my dad's side of the family, are people who would rather act like something doesn't exist or is not happening, because it makes them too uncomfortable to acknowledge it. I mean, of course, my dad's side of the family, conservative, religious Republicans, live in their own world anyway, but they are the kind of people who will ignore something if it doesn't fit into their perfect little world or whatever. If, it doesn't, if it brings up too many questions about how they can believe in a God that, does this or that or lets this or that happen or whatever. And like, they keep saying things to me like, even though I've shown my dad and my grandma both everything. I wrote down everything I purchase or pay for every month. Every expense, even the bi-monthly expenses, like my cat's CBD medicine and stuff. I write down everything for them. I tell them I've already cut everything out of my budget, including stuff that I shouldn't be going without and really need to not go without anymore. And I show them that there's nothing else I can cut out of my budget. And I keep asking them, what am I supposed to do then? If I'm not allowed to get a vehicle so I can make enough money to pay my own bills and make my own way, if I'm not allowed to move to where I don't have to pay $350 a month for my medicine, if nothing is an option except for me sitting here in this exact spot and just doing nothing other than, not taking my medicine, because that's the only thing that they basically said that once or twice, and then after that quit answering me, because I keep telling them, if I stop taking my medicine and end up in the hospital, then why am I paying rent and power for an apartment I'm not staying in anymore? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why they can't rationalize that. Like, nobody in my family would stop taking their medicine. My grandma and grandpa and dad are all on medicine. They're all diabetic. Okay, my grandpa has high blood pressure because he's severely obese. He's got like the worst pot belly ever. And he's also stressed out a lot. He's not like stressed out like I am. He's just grouchy all the time. Like, he's always grouchy to people. He doesn't have a reason to be stressed out because literally he buys crap on Amazon all the time. He breeds puppies, Bichon Frise or whatever they're called, puppies, and makes like, $300 a piece on them. And they aren't hurting for money. My dad, who lives with his second wife that he married right after he left my mom, and her two of her kids, I should say, are still living under his roof in Virginia, not paying any expenses, definitely not paying rent, definitely not paying groceries or electricity. They might be paying for their own, like, cell phone if they have one, although I don't think one of them does, because the one just is fine with sitting in her. One of them has been getting disability since she was born because she has, like, not, I don't know if it's cerebral palsy. If it is, it's only in her legs. She just has, like, these problems with her legs that she can't walk. So she's been disabled her whole life. But literally, while I was living with my mom, before my dad and them moved down to Virginia, while I was living with my mom, alone, of course, which I had to do until I was 23 years old. I had to live with her for 23 years. Nobody else did. Everybody else ran away from her because they couldn't stand her and wanted to get away and have their own life. I watched my stepsister she got disability every month, and it came like several times while I was fighting to pay bills, and my mom was taking 90% of every check I got to pay for our expenses while she just went out and spent her money. I don't know, whatever. She was working a desk job, so you know, I could have paid I would have been happy to pay half my check every month towards expenses, but I was only like 14 when I started getting it. She took 90% of every check I got just for our expenses and to spend on whatever. And then she also took my entire back disability check, which was literally up until today, when I was 14 and started getting disability, that was the only time in the last 21 years that I have had a chance in hell at getting a vehicle of any kind, is if I had been allowed to save that check or, put it in a savings bond or something so it wasn't counted against me. Like, that would have been more than enough to get a vehicle, because I got like 15 grand for 2.5 years of back pay for disability. I never saw a dime of that. I didn't even know I'd gotten one, actually, until I found out my mom got one when she applied for disability like 10 years after that. She got a back check, and she went and spent her back check just like she did with mine. And I never heard about it. I never got any notice of it. I was never allowed to save anything. My mom kicked me out when I was 23 because she wanted her homeless boyfriend to move in and not have any distractions with me living there. So from that point on, for the last 12 years, I've been on my own, paying for everything myself and begging for help when I have to, not when when I want to and don't want to have to pay all. I only beg when I have to, is what I'm trying to say. That's probably the mistake I made, because my family has had no problem helping my able-bodied, healthy, working siblings and cousins and stuff when they, like, made huge mistakes in their lives. Like, my sister had 3 DUI car wrecks, and she always got help with fixing her car, with paying whatever tickets she got. She, got caught shoplifting a few times. She always got help with whatever she needed help with. My cousin was a meth addict for a while. Sold everything she had for drugs and ended up in the hospital. And her uncle, my uncle, helped her get a used car, helped her find an apartment, helped her go into college. Like, all this crap. Like, they didn't do everything they could in their power until they were almost destitute and then started begging for help. They got help from the first day they needed help. Like, I made the mistake of doing everything I could, selling everything I could, making money every way I could, and then started begging for help when I had no options left, because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. But when it comes to, like, my mom, she'll just spend money first and then pay some bills and then cry because she can't get cigarettes or groceries or, pay for whatever bill or whatever. And she'll get help with it because I'm the only one apparently who puts my expenses in order of priority, which of course number one is going to be the medicine that makes me allowed to survive and allowed to stay out of the hospital and allowed to function by myself. Because if I'm going to end up in the hospital, there's no point in paying for a rent or power for a place I'm not going to be in anymore. And I can't seem to get that through their heads. Like, they can't tell me what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do it with no vehicle, and my symptoms and everything I need to do every day taking up so much of my time that I don't have any time left for, going off to a job somewhere. Like, I have to medicate 4 times a day. I have to repack my bowls. I have to keep the chores up in this place. I have to worry about taking oral medicine 3 times a day. I have to, worry about my edibles and keep making those every couple weeks. I have to do all kinds of stuff every day just to stay functional. And none of them have any idea what that's like, because the worst problems they have are like diabetes or high blood pressure. And the problem is, like I was going to say, 10 minutes ago, my stepsister, who's been getting disability since she was born, has had to actually empty out her bank account because she wasn't spending it, because she didn't need anything. Her grandparents, my stepmom's parents, got her and the other kids everything they ever wanted. They would take them to Disneyland in California and Florida and wherever else. Like, every year they would go on these trips with their kids, and I never got to go anywhere because usually it was only for my stepmom's kids anyway. But anytime that my sister and the other kids went anywhere together, I was in the hospital or I was recovering. So I've literally only been to theme parks like twice. The last time was when I was like 16. I've only ever been anywhere else, maybe 2 or 3 times, like, museums and stuff like that. I went to the zoo one year, but like, I haven't been able to experience shit like a normal person does when they're a teenager or a young adult. There was literally 1 year where I crammed in so much stuff, so much that experiences into 1 year, like when I was 16, like right after my second back surgery, when I was actually functional enough to travel a little bit. I don't remember how I did it. I think I somehow saved up enough from my disability checks for like 6 months that I was able to go visit a friend that I had in New Hampshire one time. And then another time, my dad drove me halfway to Illinois and met my friend there, and I stayed with her for like 5 days. But other than that, like, I haven't got to experience shit, and I'm going insane from not experiencing shit. Like, I can't. There's only so many times I can decorate and redecorate the same freaking prison cell, I'm like, my stepsister was busy emptying out her bank account and spending over $10,000, at least 3 times over that I saw that she had to do that. At the same time that I was fighting with my bipolar, manipulative, lying, controlling, hypocritical, abusive mother, for going through my pen pal letters and my journals and my computer. I never had an ounce of privacy. I was fighting with her from taking so much of my check every month and not allowing me to save up for anything to move out with. There were several times where I somehow managed to buy like a pots and pans set and a new vacuum. And this was like over the course of a year. And at one point I had these things that I would need to move out with, and I was about to move out. And then she ended up like suddenly coming up with a reason that we had to move to a different apartment complex. So all of a sudden she needed us both to come up with money for the down payment and the moving fees and everything. So I was forced to then like return whatever I bought or resell it or something and put the money into that. And that did happen at least once. But then after that, I refused to do it again. And I think that's when she kicked me out. Because she met some guy and was just tired of fighting with me because she couldn't control me as much once I was in my 20s. And the rest is history there, but like um I've gone to the end of my rope so many times with this that I've actually, especially when it comes to dealing with my mother, I'm going to start a small series on my audio journal, possibly also on YouTube, because I think it'd do well on YouTube. It's going to be a series of hopefully short stories or short rants about my mother and how psychotic she is, because I need somebody to tell me that I am not alone with this. I need to know that my mother, who is literally the female version of Trump, is not the only, like, I'm not the only person out there who has to deal with this. I need to know that I'm not like in hell and this is just me who has to deal with this. Because seriously, I'm losing my shit. I'm losing my shit being forced to deal with her because I have no escape. I literally texted my dad 2 nights ago and he still hasn't responded because she did something so absurd and so ridiculous that I was just about to scream and I had to get it out. So I texted my dad because he's like the only other person who knows what she's like, at least to a degree. It's, I don't know how bad she was when I was 5 or whatever that made him want to leave, but she's 100 times worse now, I'm pretty sure. But he hasn't responded to that. He's chosen not to respond to any of my texts unless they ask him a question regarding like electronics or computers or how he's doing. Like he won't answer anything that I ask or say to him about my situation in any way, my financial situation, my health situation. If I told him I had to go to the ER the other night, I don't think he'd give a crap. They don't care anymore. They don't care. I have a family who railroads the fuck out of me because I constantly say, this is not normal for you to act like this, and I should have parents that care and that nurture my aspirations at least a tiny bit. Because not one time in my whole life do I remember anybody in my family nurturing or encouraging me to do any of the things that I wanted to do. Whether it was move to another state or become a writer or, for God's sake, become a successful medical cannabis edibles delivery person. I could literally have the market cornered right now on delivering edibles to other patients in the area because nobody is doing that. And I have done so well with making edibles that are really good, that are really medicated for patients perfectly, different strengths, different types of edibles, that I know I could make enough money to survive. I know I could make enough money to make it on my own and possibly even save up for a vehicle. But that's not an option for me. That's only an option for everybody else. Just like my grandma who started her own business like 40 years ago. And she didn't do it by herself. She didn't just have the tens of thousands of dollars she needed to start her business. It was either her parents or a bank that helped her out. And they know that. And I asked them several times if Grandma had to have help starting her business, like my cousins and my siblings had to have help starting their lives. They didn't do it by themselves. Nobody did it by themselves. And my family are so ridiculously unrealistic and conservative that they actually expect me to go out and find some random guy, because of course it has to be a guy, that is more willing to take care of me and help me get through life than my own parents and my own siblings and my own grandparents. And just, they won't discuss it with me. They won't talk about my future or my options or anything I could possibly do. They won't answer any of my questions. I'm basically begging them to just help me for 2 months so that I can get into any kind of vehicle. And then if I can get into any kind of vehicle, even if it's a moped and it's spring or summertime, I could deliver with a moped and save up enough for a different vehicle. I'm willing to do literally anything it takes that I am physically capable of doing. And yet they expect me to do shit that I am physically not capable of doing, like quit taking my life-saving medicine. That's how is that realistic? Can somebody please explain to me how is it more realistic? Because apparently that's what they think it is, more realistic for them to expect me to just sit here when it is unsustainable, and in any day now it's going to fall apart and I'm going to end up losing my power, and then I can't have it turned back on because they charge like $250 more just to turn it back on, and I will be evicted after 30 days of no power. And if I had a vehicle to live in, I actually wouldn't care if I was being evicted because that's what I want. I want to live in a vehicle. How sad is that? That I want more than anything in the world to live in preferably a van or a U-Haul or even an SUV. But you know what? I don't care what it is anymore. I will get the fuck out of here in whatever it is. I have actually, up until a couple years ago when my health got too bad and I started having all my teeth pulled very slowly, I was actually going to hitchhike out of here. I was legit drawing up plans to make some kind of little pup tent slash mini U-Haul slash dog, whatever, doggy tent thing that you can pull behind a bike except bigger, so that it was just big enough for me to lay on and put my stuff in when I'm not laying on it, and then like hook it on my walker and get the fuck out of here. Because it has gotten numerous times now to the point where I am more willing to start hitchhiking and probably most likely not make it across the country and probably die trying than I am willing to sit here and keep going through the same nightmare that I can no longer do anything about and cannot sustain anymore, over and over and over and over and over and over again every month. Every payday, I have panic attacks and I start freaking out and my whole body starts shutting down. And after the 4 or 5 days after I get paid, I just collapse and go into a coma for like 3 days because I'm so exhausted from all the mental breakdowns that I have every payday because there's nothing I can fucking do about it. And that's what my family keeps railroading me about. They keep scoffing at me and laughing at me and shrugging and saying, sucks to be you, it's up to you, it's your responsibility, figure it out, you gotta budget better, you gotta be more responsible, you gotta face facts, you gotta have a reality check. Those are their exact words. Those are all words that they said to me. So, I am literally done with this shit. I mean, I cannot do this anymore. I'm going to start this series about my mom on my audio journal, probably, hopefully on YouTube. And hopefully I can get rants out that way so I won't waste your guys' time on these updates. But literally, this is my life. These walls, the same walls I look at every day and have no escape from. Like, I know you're going to say, like, why don't you go for a walk every day? It's a retirement community full of Trump supporters I can't really talk to. And I've actually tried walking a few times into town. And one night when I was dealing with my mom at her apartment and I was trying to help her, which always gets me yelled at and chastised and bullied by her, when I left, it was like 7 p.m. and I was so fucking mad and frustrated that I decided to go for a walk because I had to walk back home anyway. Because there have been so many times, dozens of times since she moved across the road from me, from my door to her door in the other apartment complex she lives in, it's probably about 200 yards, 250 yards, something like that. And I always have to take my walker when I go out. So, like, There have been dozens of times where I've tried texting or calling her. We would plan on me coming over. She would have, either she would pick me up when she came home from town for something when she had a car, or my uncle would pick me up when he was coming to bring her cigarettes or whatever. Now she has a help care worker that's supposed to be helping her clean her apartment a couple times a week. And sometime there's been twice now that she's either picked me up or taken me back home. But like when I have to go to my mom's for any reason, she needs help with something, mostly with the cat, because I'm so concerned about her cat not being taken care of that I go over there to scoop the litter box that's always full and trim his claws that are always long. And once I deal with her, like trying to find stuff to sell on eBay, because she's finally given me like a dozen things to list on eBay that are just sitting in her closet. And she's still got $10,000, $20,000 worth of shit that she's bought at yard sales, auctions, QVC. It's either brand new stuff or mostly antique stuff or vintage stuff that might sell on eBay. But then she also has stuff that she's convinced she can still sell for a lot, even though it's like not worth anything anymore. Like she'll have a NutriBullet blender that she bought probably 6 or 8 years ago and never opened. And I told her 3 years after she bought it and never opened it, that if you're never going to use that and you want to make any money on it, you should sell it now, because once it's been a couple more years, it ain't going to be worth anything. So she got one of those ones that when she bought it, it was like $150, and now you can get it on eBay for like $20. So now it's not worth anything. So things like that. Like I would try to pick out stuff to sell that I know would sell, because I have sold stuff on eBay since I was 15 years old, and I know how it works, and I know how to sell stuff, and I know what's selling, and I know how to look up what's selling and everything else. But she will always insist on slowly and painfully looking things up herself, showing me what to do, telling me what to do, interrupting every word I say. My mom's the kind of person who can make anybody believe that she's a really, really, really good, generous, kind person. Anybody. She can cry her way out of any speeding ticket or any traffic ticket. She can talk her way into anybody buying her anything, basically. She's really, really manipulative. Nobody else really knows that, because when she's with anybody else, she acts like a perfectly nice person. And then the second everybody's gone except me, she'll just snap into something else. And of course, when she has a cigarette, it's like a light switch too. Like when she has to take me anywhere, or when she did take me anywhere, when she used to have to take me to my doctor's before she got rid of her fucking car, and now just expects my grandma to do it, because of course the only other option I have left is the one person who has to do it, even though she works 6 days a week. My mom is just so fucking unbelievably selfish and vapid and has no empathy whatsoever, just like my grandma and my dad. Zero empathy. I think I got all the empathy in my whole family. Like, literally all of it. Nobody in my family has enough empathy to respond to me, to discuss things with me, to say hi to me, to ask me how I'm doing. Like, my grandma that died is the only person who ever called to check on me or see how I was doing or made sure I had milk and bread. Like, that's, it's really hard. It's really hard knowing. I tell myself this every day because it's so hard knowing it, but it's also the most true thing in the world right now. I don't have a single fucking person in this world, in this universe. I don't have one person that has a crap to give about me or my well-being. Not one person. Imagine that. I'm not trying to use sympathy. I'm trying to, I wish I could make my family feel what it's like to not only have my physical health problems, but to know that you can do nothing about your situation, and the people who are supposed to care and help you with your situation could not care less. And not one person in the entire world gives a fuck. Gives a flying fuck. I just I guess I repeat it because it's hard to believe. It really is. It's so hard for me to believe that after I've done my damnedest because I want to, not because I feel a need to, because I want to help people and do for people and give to people and make other people happy. And I guess that might be a fault of mine because it's really gotten me nowhere. But like, I like doing things for people that I like, okay? And another thing I can't stop doing is thinking about what my mom would like. Because who fucking cares, right? Fuck her. I would love to say fuck her. There is nothing I would love more in the entire world than to say fuck you and never have to speak to her again. Because that's basically what my sister did. My sister doesn't talk to her. She doesn't have to talk to her. She hasn't had to talk to her since she got her own dream car and basically spent her life doing whatever the fuck she wanted after that. Never had to answer to anybody or ask for anything. So I would love more than anything in the fucking world to say fuck you and your self. She would literally cry and throw a hissy fit and a self-pity party if I did tell her that. If I did, tell anybody else in the family this is what I'm doing and I'm leaving and she can fuck off and she can find somebody else to cry to about her imaginary symptoms because she went from being a Munchausen's by proxy when I was under her control and she made me have all these surgeries. Well, mostly the first one. She made me have the first one. That's why it took 3 fucking years to find a surgeon that would cut me open because nobody wanted to, because it wasn't necessary, because it was too dangerous. And she finally dragged me to one person who did it and ruined my life. And after she couldn't control me anymore, she started making things up about herself and going to the hospital and having fake seizures and everything just to get sympathy from doctors. She's been doing that since she kicked me out. So everybody in the family, including her healthcare worker, knows and has said that she doesn't have Alzheimer's. She doesn't have dementia. She doesn't have these things that she said she has. And she constantly insists that she has. She just says that so she can get people to feel sorry for her. But like, I would love to just fuck off, just tell her to fuck off and not care about how that makes her feel, because that's how I've felt every day since I was born. Because I know I was born not wanted, and I can go over that in another video about how I know that and how all the signs I've seen over the years about that. But like, it's almost worse having a mother that can control you and manipulate everybody else in your life and do everything in their power to stop you from having any freedom or any happiness in life. It's almost worse having that than if I had like a heroin addict mother, junkie mother, who, just didn't give a fuck and just didn't do anything or say anything to interfere with my life. Like, it would almost be, I almost wish, I always wish I wasn't born, but I also almost always wish that I'd been adopted, because I would have I would have a chance at a life, at least if I was adopted, whereas now I have had less and less of a chance at a life every day that passes. But like, you guys, I don't mean to talk your guys' ear off, and I'm going to try and do these things in different audio segments, but like, I wanted to update, and that's the best I can do right now. I'm going to start a different video to do, to show off the couple things I got this month, because I'm still waiting for this package I ordered on the Bernie Sanders campaign store. I ordered a couple things on there I wanted to open on camera. So I'm going to try and give that a few more days. I ordered that shit on the 29th of December. And as of yesterday, it still had not shipped. And it's been like 18 days, 16 days, something like that, 16 days. and has not been shipped yet. So if it's still not going to be shipped by tomorrow, I'll probably just do I'll do a video anyway and do that stuff later. But I have a couple things I wanted to show off. I'm also waiting for my TYT sticker pack because I wanted to show those off. So I'll do a show off video in a couple days, in a day or two. I'm going to try to upload this overnight, although it's probably going to take 2 days because it's 45 minutes long. I hope I didn't bore you guys to death, but literally, if you want to save my life and keep this channel going, I know this is like shallow and selfish and whatever you want to say. You can call me whatever you want. But as you guys know, I don't monetize my channel. I don't have ads in my videos. None of my channel is monetized. Even the videos that have like 10,000 views, which I do have some of, by the way. So I was hoping, at some point I would get enough viewers that somebody would sign up for my Patreon and I would have at least enough support that I could pay my power bill every month and not have to constantly stress out about it and constantly wonder how I'm going to do it. But my Patreon is on the board if you guys want to. I'll put a link below too if you guys want to click on it. And just sign up for $2 a month because it's really easy and it comes out automatically. And if I can get 20 people to sign up for $2 a month, that would be a huge, huge, huge help. I also wanted to shout out my favorite YouTubers for January, Mr. Who's the Boss and Primink. Mr. Who's the Boss is the best tech YouTuber out there. You guys would love him. Even if you're not really into tech, he's got app videos, he's got best gadget videos and budget videos and all that. Primink is a drama commentator, and he's pretty good at keeping it not dramatic. Like, he's really good at talking about things without making it sound like it's a big deal. But he's really educational, and I love listening to him. So you guys check them out.